Next on Investigative Report. Birth control for men. The new science of male sexual freedoms. Clinical research has progressed to the point that we are literally months away from male contraceptive pills. If approved, the pill, once available only to women, is expected to offer men newfound freedoms to enjoy guilt-free sex. A time that men can be sexually attracted to an intimate partner while enjoying a relationship that does not result in an unexpected pregnancy. Since the invention of the condom in the early 20th century, men have dreamed of a day that they can enjoy sex minus the life-altering phone calls concerning missed periods. Calls that result in sonogram visits followed by abortions or a lifetime of raising a child outside of optimal conditions. In this issue of Investigative Report, we will examine what you can expect from the pill minus baby entrapment, parental alienation, or 2 decades of unplanned child support. And now, birth control for men, the new science of male sexual freedoms. This is love. Man and woman, rushing headlong at each other across a beautiful flowery meadow. Ha! Who am I kidding? We meet one another drunk, at the club, in search of booty call before closing hours at 2 a.m. But come the morning after, unprotected booty calls result in sticky consequences. The kind of consequences that begin with double lines on a home pregnancy kit and end in a labor and delivery room. Now, if you are ready for a child at a particular stage in your life, this will not be a problem. But if you are like 50% of most men worldwide, this birth will purely be rooted in an unprotected pregnancy due to a partner who did not either take the pill, as she said, or you failed to wear a condom. Whether you are ready or not, the better half of men will ultimately, as the saying goes, step up to the plate to take care of their little bundle of joy. But sharing a child with a woman in an antagonistic age of marriage will not guarantee one a long-term relationship. There are so many stories where men who played the game correctly by buying a car, signing a mortgage agreement, only to wait for the day that their wives tell them that they are not happy and want out of the marriage. But what if we were able to turn back the time? Back to the moment that you decided to take the relationship to a sexual level. The only difference this time is that you had the benefit of the male birth control pill. Now I dare say that as cautious as men are, that she would have more than one line on that early detection test. Imagine how you could stay on course to build your wealth before entering a long-term relationship. And maybe if you held off for the right woman, not only would she be drop-dead gorgeous, with a knockout body, but maybe she would have a winning, cooperative personality to go along with it. Tonight on Investigative Report, we will discuss the science behind the male birth control pill, as well as how soon it will be available for the market. But first, let us look at the research history of the male birth control pill and why it has taken so long to come to market. And for the longest time, men have only 3 options for the prevention of impregnating a woman. The first is using a condom. Now, condoms have been with us for thousands of years, but the original condoms probably weren't all that good for safe sex. Though tortoiseshell, animal intestine, and linen have all been used to make them, it was Charles Goodyear's discovery of vulcanized rubber in 1839 that brought condoms to the masses. Now, the main reasons men report not using condoms when they should is that it's had a decreased feeling during the actual act itself. And a lot of guys report, hey, I can't feel anything. Now, the second method of male birth control is having a painful vasectomy. Now, some men report the pain the first week after having a vasectomy is equivalent to being kicked in the testicles. Now this might have something to do with the cutting of the two tubes called the vas deferens, which are cut and sealed. Now that prevents the sperm from ever mixing with what's going to make the girl pregnant again. Now the vas deferens carries sperm from the testicles to the urethra. Now the urethra is the tube inside of the penis. And once they are cut, sperm can get into the semen or out of the body itself. Now you still produce sperm, but the sperm die and absorbed by the body. Now the first recorded vasectomy was performed on a dog by Cooper in 1823. Now R. Harrison of London performed the first human vasectomy, not for sterilization purposes, but to bring about atrophy of the prostate. Now during the Second World War, vasectomy was finally regarded as a method of birth control. Although that be a painful method, a method. On average, vasectomies do not affect sexual functioning or reduce sex drive. After vasectomy, it will still be possible to get an erection and ejaculate as before. The sperm only makes up a tiny proportion of semen, so vasectomy should not cause a noticeable change in the amount of ejaculation. Now you may have some pain in your groin, they say, for 1 week after the surgery. Now your scrotum may be bruised and swollen, which typically they say will go away in 1 to 2 weeks. And this is a medical profession. This is not something that we're saying at this channel. Now the third birth control men have had is as old as the biblical story of Onan, 2,500 years ago. Now it is called the pull-out method and least effective of all. Now the biblical story reads that when Onan had sex with Tamar, he withdrew before he ejaculated and spilled his seed on the ground, thus committing coitus interruptus. Now since any child born would not legally be considered his heir, now the next statement in the Bible says that Onan displeased Yahweh or God, so the Lord slew him. Now today the Catholic Church still believes this method of birth control to be a sin against God, or the pull-out method. Now, I would not attribute the lack of study for a male birth control pill to this one particular story. I would have to say that it is the mass business community at large that has a vested interest in keeping men producing progeny. Now, let us for a moment compare and contrast both genders and their impact on the use of birth control as it stands today. As you might have heard, it is the largest corporations that are interested in either women using birth control or abortions if it will keep them showing up at work on a daily basis. Now, many say this is not true, but I believe it is. Society at large sees a woman as a strong worker if she is free of childbearing responsibilities. That would be your first clue. Society at the same time also has a different view of men based on birth control. Now, since both genders are completely opposite of one another, it makes more sense to have males having children. Now, why, you might ask? That's because it has been shown that men take on extra hours and responsibilities after their wives or girlfriends get pregnant. So in short, eliminate her concern for pregnancy and she will work harder. Increase his chance of having a child and he too will work twice as hard. So the opposite direction, but the same result. Today in most Western cultures, women have over a dozen methods of birth control, and that list is still growing and growing. Now, notable of all these birth control methods is the pill, or the main female birth control system invented for women over 73 years ago, well over 7 decades ago. Now, unfortunately for men, scientists would drag their feet until the 1970s before they would even begin experimenting with the male hormonal contraceptive. And these early experiments used synthetic testosterone alone, and also in combination with synthetic progesterone hormone called progestin. Now that was to suppress the production of both testosterone and sperm in an injection. Now, those early tests did not bear out as much as the ones today. Now in this program, we will discuss in brief the top 5 methods studied and trialed since that time, and why we feel they will be a game changer for men in the future. The first medicine is an oral pill known as YCT529. The second delivery method is called Adam. The clinical trials for Adam began last year. The third is DMAU. The fourth is RISUG, or what's called reversible inhibition of sperm under guidance. And lastly, a compound called TDI 11861, which we believe shows the best promise thus far due to the fact that its delivery method is non-hormonal in order not to interfere with the chemistry that makes you as a male function as you are. Now, let's go to the first. The first delivery method is YCT529. You'll hear that a lot of times. And YCT529 is a chemical that's being developed as a non-hormonal male birth control pill. It's thought to reduce sperm counts by attaching to a special receptor in the male's body for vitamin A. And developed by researchers at the University of Minnesota, YCT529 is licensed to a U.S. company called Your Choice Therapeutics. Now, early results from studies in mice were announced by the American Chemical Society in March of last year. Now, in medicine, mice are used instead of humans because, like humans, mice are mammals and their bodies undergo many similar processes and have similar immune responses to infection and disease. And their hormone endocrine system are a lot like ours as well. Now, studies on mice, this drug produced a 99% reduction in sperm production, and it has proceeded to early stages of human clinical trials as a potential male contraceptive using 80 men for the one particular study. Now, currently, YCT529 is the preliminary chemical name for this potential medication. If it continues to advance through clinical trials, it'll be given a more traditional drug name. The second delivery method, called ATOM, not associated with the biblical reference. ATOM is a hydrogel implant that is inserted inside through a quick injection. Now, ATOM works by injecting a hydrogel into the vas deferens, which is the little tubes that carry the sperm. It is done in an outpatient setting using local anesthesia, so you can be in and out the same day. Now, the procedure is expected to take less than 30 minutes should you have one. It's a specialized group of molecules that being studied as a non-hormonal male birth control option is what ATOM is about. It's considered to be a medical device, not a medication. Now, ATOM is a little different. ATOM is different because the other medications on our list, it's injected or implanted into your vas deferens, as I said before, similar style to an intrauterine device, or what women know as IUDs. And it's being developed as a possible long-term birth control option, because longevity is what you need in birth control. Now, ATOM's safety is currently being studied in a small trial. Now, the first human study began in April of 2022 and is expected to be completed by June of 2025. Now, the first ATOM implant was administered to a person in November 2022 in the country of Australia. Now, if all goes well with this trial, additional trials will be needed to research ATOM's potential effectiveness over time. Now, the difference between ATOM and the other methods is that it is a reversible form of birth control. When ATOM is first implanted, it forms a blockage in your vas deferens, but after a while, it is washed out of your system. Now, that takes care of itself. And this ATOM study is aiming to assess the long-term safety of its delivery system. Now, after initially receiving the device, each study participant will be assessed after 1 month. Now, after the 1 month check-in, they'll each be monitored routinely for up to 36 months, or what is 3 years. Now, results will be likely be announced after that one particular time period, so we all would know what happens. But so far, things are working out. The third method is DMAU, or dimethyltryptamine undeconate. Now, undeconate, or DMAU for short, is a medication that's being studied as a male birth control pill. It's a hormonal medication that suppresses certain male sex hormones to reduce sperm counts while you're taking it. Now, DMAU is an oral pill that's given once daily. So far, studies have only assessed its safety over a month time period. But if approved, it's likely to be taken daily over time, which is something similar to oral birth control pills used by women currently. Now, researchers have completed a phase 1 clinical trial for oral DMAU, but there hasn't been much movement on the phase 2 clinical trials as of yet. In general, before the FDA considers approving any medication for use, it needs to go through phase 3 clinical trials, and a lot of these have not got through phase 3 as of yet. Now, an injectable version of DMAU is also being studied. A phase 1 clinical trial is still recruiting participants, but the study is expected to be completed by December of 2024. DMAU is actively being studied as an injection that's given under your skin or into your muscle. Researchers from academic institutions in California and Washington are studying DMAU safety in phase 1 clinical trials. Now, after the application of the drug, the circulating levels of testosterone achieved with the oral DMAU were equivalent to those seen on average with something that's called surgical castration. Not lopping it off, but the same low testosterone levels. But fortunately, following discontinuation of the DMAU, testosterone levels began to recover within days and reach normal levels within a month. So you will be fine. Your manhood will come back, don't worry. In a clinical study, DMAU was found to be well tolerated when administered to men for a month. The side effects included mild weight gain between 3 and 9 pounds and mild decreases in levels of HDL cholesterol. Now, no major or serious side effects were observed during the study. Now, the fourth delivery method is RISUG, or what is known as reversible inhibition of sperm under guidance. RISUG is another medical device that's being studied as a long-acting non-hormonal male birth control. Now, RISUG forms a partial blockage in the same vas deferens canal, similar to Adam, but it also changes the makeup of your sperm so it can't fertilize an egg, which is great. Now, RISUG is a gel that is injected into your vas deferens, which makes it reversible form birth control that can be flushed out of your system whenever you want, similar to the first one I explained for you. RISUG has been in development for decades in India and is currently in phase 3 clinical trials. Its American counterpart, Vasogel, is still in preclinical trials, so there's always a foreign particular name and study and the American counterpart. Now, RISUG isn't actively being studied in the US, but it's been studied through phase 3 clinical trials in India, and it's been patented in the US. Now, some people consider RISUG and Vasogel to be alternative reversible options to a vasectomy. So if you don't want to go through a painful vasectomy, these are your choices. Now, according to a small phase 3 study published in the Journal of Reproductive Healthcare and Medicine, 98% of men who receive RISUG achieve what's called azoospermia after 6 weeks. Azoospermia is when no sperm is found in a male semen, which is ideal for preventing unintended pregnancies, and we all want to do that. The no pregnancies occurred in this study. Now, the most common side effects were an enlarged scrotum and a moderate growing pain, but they went away with time. Now, there weren't any serious side effects reported in that one particular study. However, researchers are still learning more about how well it works and if it's full reversibility. The fifth delivery method, a non-oral option, is also being developed using nostrone and testosterone. NES/T for short is a gel that you apply to your skin. It's currently in phase 2 clinical trial. Testosterone or testosterone in a combination of medications that's being studied as a male birth control. Now, nesterone is a hormonal medication that aims to reduce sperm counts to a very low level. Testosterone is used to help control nesterone side effects such as low sex drive. Now, NES/T is a gel that's applied topically to your shoulders and upper arms once daily. Now, John Vance DeQuille, age 30, began using NES/T in May of 2019, pictured here. He signed up for the trial after his partner, 28-year-old Alex Smith, shown beside him, was told she would be unable to continue taking the pill due to it reacting with another medication she was prescribed. And in some cases, women can't take the pill because it does something to their body chemically. And this is one of those cases. The NES/T safety and effectiveness are currently being studied in phase 2 clinical trials funded by the National Institutes of Health, or the NIH. Now, this study is expected to be finished by December of next year. Now, nesterone is a brand name version of progesterone, a progestin medication that's also found in several birth control medications for women. So in a lot of cases, something works for women, also works for men. Early last year, the University of Utah health researchers announced that they're one of the latest groups to join an international study that's assessing the safety and effectiveness of NES/T gel. And the study will take about 2 years to complete, because when you're doing these type trials, it takes more than just a day to get results. The other testing sites are also part of the study. In the U.S., places like California, Colorado, and Pennsylvania are involved. It's also being studied internationally in places such as Italy, Kenya, and the United Kingdom. Now, this brings me to our last delivery method, which is a compound called TDI-11861, which we believe shows the best promise thus far. Now, an NIH-funded team of researchers led by Drs. Josh and Buck and Lonnie Levin at Weill Cornell Medicine developed a compound called TDI-11861. Now, this binds and inhibits SAC, and that tested its effect on sperm function and fertility. And their findings appeared in Nature Communication on February 14th of this year. TDI-11861 is a chemical that's being studied as a non-hormonal male birth control pill. Now, it works by temporarily interfering with an enzyme protein called soluble adenylene cyclase. Now, by doing this, TDI-11861 makes it harder for sperm to mature, swim around, and fertilize an egg. Now, currently, TDI-11861 is being developed as needed or on-demand basis for male birth control pill. And it's meant to be taken before sex to disrupt sperm for short amounts of time. Now, according to studies in mice, its effects appear to start wearing off after 2 to 3 hours. So imagine you could take a pill just before you have sex. And so far, what is known about TDI-11861 comes from mouse study published in Nature Communications. Clinical studies in humans are scheduled to be up next. But a specific timeline hasn't been announced about when we can expect them to start or finish. But, not to worry, it's in the works. Now, other considerations, TDI-11861 initial results are promising. But it's important to keep in mind that its current safety and effectiveness data are preliminary. And we need to see data in humans before making assumptions about how well it might work in men. But how great would that be to just pop a pill right in your mouth, like I said before, just before sex, in order to prevent pregnancy? One-night stands would be just one-night stands. Researchers from the National Institutes of Health recently published data that shows TDI-11861 appears to be safe and effective contraceptive in mice. This non-hormonal medication is designed to impair sperm's ability to move around and take action inside a female's reproductive system, which is great. So the sperm can still leave the body, but when it enters her body, you do not get the result of an pregnancy. And in the study, TDI-11861 started to kick in after about 30 minutes to an hour. Its effective started to wear off, as I said before, about 2.5 hours, and sperm was about normal after 24 hours. There weren't any pregnancies in the study, and no notable side effects were observed in any mice, male or female. As we close, we invite you to remember that many medications and substances have been studied in the past, as well as intentional male contraceptive tools. However, so far none have won FDA approval, but it is a race to the finish line. So why is this? Well, it varies by medication, but the most common reason is due to bothersome side effects. Even though many medications have proven to be effective in clinical studies, their side effects and risks have limited their use. Now, this includes side effects and symptoms like mood changes, weight gain, and acne. Sort of like when women take their pill and then once a month they have their period, they have the same type problems. And finally, none of these birth control methods will protect you from catching a sexually transmitted disease, although scientists are now working on that type of combination pill. So for now, we're still stuck with the condom, a vasectomy, or the pull-out method. Even when you get the birth control pill, you still may have to lean on the condom for protection from disease. For Investigator Report, this is Charles Rivers. We thank you for watching.